So the final topic for today, Andrea, you are our first guest host ever on this show. So we're going to talk about our video game firsts. What was the first game you ever played? First game you ever owned? First console you ever owned? And first game you ever beat?
Oh, man.
You can go first.
Taking it way back.
Oh, yeah.
The first game that I have like vivid memories of playing was the original Super Mario Brothers on NES. Because I remember getting it for Christmas for me and my sister. It was a few years after it had come out. And my dad got it, and the game came with the console back then. You guys remember when games came with consoles?
That was the topic last week.
That was the thing. And we played that game for hours and hours and hours and pored over the strategy guide. I know you hate strategy guides, but back then you had to have them.
I was making
the internet did not exist. I'm dating myself, but for me, that's why it has kind of planted the seed for a lifelong love affair with Nintendo for me. So that was the first game that I ever played. The first game that I ever beat was probably Paperboy.
Damn.
Could you beat Paperboy?
Yes, of course you could.
You got skills.
Woo.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm right there with you.
I couldn't do that.
So many hours.
Yeah, that damn Grim Reaper coming in on Tuesday. Fucking up my day. What was the first console you owned? So it was the NES?
NES,
then?
yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then, all right, there you go. Colin.
My first console I owned was an NES. We had an Atari 2600 too, but that was my brother's, and the NES was my brother's as well. We had like Mario. We had like awful games too, like Athena, which is fucking terrible. It's a terrible game. Deadly Towers, which Sean Baby used to call Shitty Towers, which is like one of my favorite things ever because that's exactly true. He made the whole box art and everything, so it said Shitty Towers. Like it looked, well, it was perfect. That game sucks. That was a broader bund game. They had no business making an NES game. But the first game I remember really playing, we had Mario and all this stuff. The first game that I really remember playing as a youth was Kid Icarus, and that game is awesome. That game still, I think, holds up so well. Came out the same day as Metroid. It was like really ambitious. Went in a different direction. Metroid was more of a non-linear, like collectathon, get what you can or whatever. Kid Icarus was more of a linear, but also dungeon crawling aspects to it. Really, really super difficult. And a really great game. So that's the first game. So it was NES and Kid Icarus, and obviously that started my, we've known in here. I was a Nintendo fanboy like you wouldn't fucking believe, until Wii. And then I was like, I can't do this anymore. As we talked about it, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So, I always had my PlayStation and, all that kind of stuff too. But, it was Kid Icarus and on NES. The first game I remember beating was probably Mario, because you can beat the shit out of that game really easily. It's not a hard game. We've talked about that before. Like once you figure it out, you can beat it in like, 10 minutes, not even. But yeah, I remember beating Kid Icarus, and that game's really hard. I remember having the password written down. You used to have to use passwords. These games didn't have batteries in them.
Yep.
But yeah, early memories, Castlevania 2, of course, Mega Man 2, Ninja Gaiden, Faxanadu.
Yeah, I played a lot of Chess Master.
Chess Master was awesome. Yeah.
My God.
You guys remember,
Best box
Chess
art
Master?
ever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's epic box art right
Love
there.
that.
I wonder if that guy's still alive. Probably not. But if he is, I want him on.
The Chess Master himself.
Yeah.
He looks like Rasputin or something like that. He looks like just some Russian dude.
Did you guys ever play the Are You Afraid of the Dark game for PC?
No.
Mm-mm.
I really love that.
Did it just tell you stories?
No, you had to like go through and solve these mysteries.
There was a Goosebumps game on PC. I think it was made by the same people that did that one. It was like a kind of adventure game, but there was like the FMV stuff going on.
Yeah,
and all that.
it feels like it's trying to be scary, but it's not really scary.
Well, like all of that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Any Are You Afraid of the Dark or Goosebumps episode.
Yeah.
But, Greg.
Hey.
What about you?
It all starts with Ghostbusters. I always tell this story. I was a young kid walking through Toys R Us to buy more real Ghostbusters figures with my mom, and we took a wrong turn down the video game aisle, and we were walking, and out of the corner of my eye at Toys R Us behind the glass against the wall, I caught the image of the Ghostbusters logo on a Sega Master System game, and I turned and I was like, boom, what is that? My mom's like, that's a video game, and she explained what video games were, and I'm like, I want that. And so for my birthday that year, I got a Sega Master System and Ghostbusters.
Poor child.
And that started my love affair with Sega.
The Bizarro.
Exactly.
The Bizarro world.
Yeah, just like that's how it was back then. No research done.
Yeah.
No.
Nobody cared. Nobody looked into what was the better system or anything like that. I just threw the money down and got the toy for the kid that he wanted. Or
No,
whatever.
everyone got their information even on Nintendo side from Nintendo Power, which was owned
Nintendo
by
Power.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No one knew, and when you knew, you didn't even care.
Yeah.
It was good.
So yeah, I got the Master System, got that Ghostbusters, and that we were off to the races there.
So that was your first game you ever played.
Yeah.
So you didn't even know what a video game was. You're just like, I
mean,
want
like
that.
it's one of those things. This is a story I've told so much. I don't remember video games before Ghostbusters. Was I at someone's house who probably had an NES? I'd like to think so, but the fact that I mean, why would I have not been into that? Why would I have not been into Mario? And I remember,
That's a good question.
I have distinct memories of going to kids' house post Master System and seeing an NES, and because I'm pretty sure it was just this was it. This is the first time I had ever seen a video game system. The first time I knew anything, because I have distinct memories of going to my friend Travis's house and him having an NES, just having gotten it. We're playing Mario, and I'm like, this is cool, but it's not a Master System. And like the console war stuff starts already, right?
Oh
Just
my
like
God.
This thing, and they had Duck Hunt. I'm like, what's this knockoff gun game? My Master System comes with a gun game too. This is clearly the knockoff.
my
You know what I mean?
gosh.
Like it's just you have no, because there was no internet, and I couldn't read. I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like you don't know
I
anything.
couldn't
And like,
read. How old were you?
I mean, this is pre-kindergarten, maybe kindergarten. You couldn't read in kindergarten, right?
No,
No.
okay,
I mean,
not. You
yeah.
learned your alphabet there. There's alphabet on the
That's true.
going around the.
Yeah, yeah.
the
I
ceiling.
guess most.
Oh,
kids
okay.
couldn't
That's
read in
it. It's
kindergarten.
preschool and then kindergarten. All right, because I remember we jumped on. I don't know, whatever. I remember in first grade for a good report card, I was able to convince my parents to buy me a Genesis, and so I had the Master System for years
You
before
were just
that.
sticking with it.
Yeah.
Now, you bought
yeah.
Genesis. This is the interesting thing to me. You bought Genesis before Sonic.
No, mine came with a pack in Sonic.
Oh, okay.
Because I had to
I thought
work
you were
on them.
so because I had.
I did
was
not
under the
start with the
illusion that you
Altered
were
Beast.
so crazy that because Genesis came out in '89, Sonic didn't come out till '91.
Yeah.
That you were one of those people that bought like Altered Beast.
Yeah. No,
which
no,
is
no, no.
the worst game of all time.
Yeah.
Or like one of those guys that was like Alex Kidd.
No.
Alex Kidd,
I
not
went back
Alex
for
Kidd.
Alex Kidd. Don't get me wrong, but I mean,
Alex
no,
Kidd's good.
At the jump, no. I remember it was a big deal
Okay.
that I
'Cause
convinced
I would have
them.
loved that.
And so, because it was the whole like reboot that they talk about in Console Wars, right? Where it's gotta get, and like they had the mascot and they had everything, and they rebranded Genesis. That's when it became, again, it was something I knew about through comics.
And then you
whatever.
bought Saturn.
I did buy a Saturn.
my
Yeah.
God.
I didn't.
Which
I
is the
didn't.
best that you bought the Saturn.
The Saturn it's one of those things that's an unforgivable moment with my mother, where I made my Christmas list and gave it to her, and I had an N64 on there. And because I was finally you did that thing where you pull yourself away enough to be like, something's wrong. I don't think I'm on the right side of history.
Wait, so you didn't get an N64? You got a Saturn instead?
My mom looked at the list and
That's the
she
biggest
goes,
travesty I've ever heard.
she's like, N64, huh? You sure you don't want that new Sega system? You've always been a Sega kid. And I was like, I was on the fence, Mom, but you're right. Get me the Sega Saturn. I want to
No.
play. I want to play Virtual
That's the
Fighter.
worst decision ever.
That's
Nights
so
into dreams.
sad.
Yeah. Oh, it was bad news.
There were some
bears.
great games. I mean, like
Sure.
Shining,
Sure,
Shining
sure,
Force,
sure.
right? Shining in the Darkness,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then Panzer Dragoon Saga.
Panzer
Force.
Dragoon.
Right,
Oh my
right,
That was
God.
like the seminal.
But I
Saga.
mean, like, yeah, that was years later. Then I went and got the N64. Woke up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
this is what's
woke
up.
because like
Yeah.
that was an unforgivable sin for Sega. I could never go back to Sega after that, and that's why when the Dreamcast came out, I was like, oh, this is cool. But I'm like, fuck you guys.
Really?
And then when
'Cause
they
that was-
failed, I was like, good. I'm
Because that was the
glad.
first. That was the first Sega console I got at launch.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh, maybe I've been wrong this whole time. Because
Yeah, you were right.
no, I went because like I was such a Nintendo fanboy when I was a kid that like. You know, it's just all about it, NES, SNES. And then when N64 came out, it was so devoid of games. Everyone forgets that N64
No, I don't
launched with
remember.
2 games. There were 2 games on N64 for like 2 months.
cares?
All you
Who the
need
hell
is Mario
cares?
64, one of
Mario
the
64
best games ever made,
Oh,
ever.
That's another.
play it
That's another.
forever.
That's another. I don't even
Oh,
know if I
God.
want to go down that.
No,
route.
no, no.
Are you
Yeah.
about to say that Mario 64 is
All
not good?
No, I was. You know, what I was gonna say Mario 64 is vastly
It was
overrated.
groundbreaking.
It is
64
groundbreaking.
will
It is-
be a topic next week.
It is. Mario 64 is the proving ground. Sunshine was the better game.
Oh, fuck
Oh my
Sunshane
God.
and it's
Colin.
ass.
Don't even,
I want to repeat
don't-
that. I want to
Tim,
repeat
don't
that.
even acknowledge
Super
that
Mario
that statement
Sunshine
was said.
was
Cut
better
this out of the edits.
Holy.
than Mario 64. Mario 64, like Ocarina of Time, right? Ocarina of Time was a great game. Mario 64 is a great game. What were the better games? Majora's Mask and Sunshine.
Oh wow.
You know?
Oh wow. You think Majora's Mask is better? Okay.
You
never
know I
mind.
love Majora's Mask, but I gotta go Ocarina
It's
of
okay.
Time.
But-
Tim, I want to know what your first game
Yeah.
was.
All right. So, well, first off, before I even get to that, you were on the wrong track so much. I didn't even know that there was a Sega Master
Oh
System.
no, most people didn't. No, I'd bring kids over to play video games. I'm like, you want to play games today? Like, oh, sure. And they come in like, what the fuck is this? Do you not have a Nintendo? And I'd be like, what? No.
What was crazy about
Is that a thing?
I didn't know Master System was a thing until like a few years ago.
Yeah.
Even like it wasn't until video games on the internet.
I mean, I was so into Master System when I got the Genesis. My parents bought me the adapter so I could still play Master System games on the
Yeah.
Genesis.
That was a
Oh,
cool. That was
man.
a cool step. That
Yeah.
Genesis. Genesis was a good machine.
Yeah.
Super Nintendo embarrassed it, but it was a good
Yeah.
it was a good machine.
Yeah.
It was a good machine.
So the first game, like memory I have playing a game, is Prince of Persia on some type of computer system. I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
And I remember just being like, "Oh my god, you can interact with this," and it was crazy, and it blew my mind. Then my dad, when I was in second grade, bought a Commodore 64, and keep in mind, me being in second grade, this meant
I was gonna say, you're
that the
young,
Super
though.
It was
Nintendo,
like 5 years ago.
Super Nintendo was out at that point, and but I didn't know anything about all that. And I was playing Jumpman on the Commodore 64, and there was a James Bond game, and they were just so rudimentary and stupid. But like, I'd go to school, and I would nothing more than go home and play this damn Jumpman game. And then one day, my mom brought me to Toys R Us, and it was a very similar thing. And I just saw the Super Nintendo. I'm like, yes, oh my god, I want that, and I got it. And
That
it came
day, or
with-
did you have to like?
it was that day.
Damn, that's good.
I don't know why it happened, but it happened that day, and it came with the bundle with Super Mario All Stars plus World, the best single
Yeah,
cards
that's a
of
great
all
cartridge.
time.
That's a great cartridge.
And I was just like, holy crap! And I played the hell out of that game. But that was not the first game I beat. None of those Mario games did I beat yet.
Mario's Missing, that was the first game.
Oh God, I did. Kevin's fucking uncle is a swindling piece of shit who sold me this little kid. Mario is Missing. It's a Mario game. Motherfucker. That was not a
that game
Mario
was rough.
game. That was a goddamn travesty, and you knew it. He also sold me Tiny Toon Adventures Buster Bust Loose, so I gotta give him some credit for that. But the first game I ever beat was Yoshi's Island.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's
That was pretty late.
Yeah, it's been
90, 95
That came out in
or
95, I think,
6.
yeah.
Yeah. And I probably didn't beat it until a little bit later than that. But I'll never forget. I think I've told this story before, but I was playing the game, and it has 6 worlds. I didn't know that. So when I got to the castle, like world 1 to 8 or whatever, in the first world, I was like, oh my God, this is it. And I remember I was going to Great America. My friend's dad was bringing us to Great America, and I was like, he's going to be here in like 10 minutes. I need to beat this. And then I beat the boss, and I was like, yes, I beat a video game. Oh my God. I was so excited. And then it just went to the next world screen. I was like, what?
What
And
the
I
fuck
looked
is
up,
this?
and I saw it said 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm like, oh my God. And that was probably the moment that I was like, video games are my life. This is the best
Yeah,
thing.
'cause you have
in
to
the entire
dedicate your
world.
life to
And then
games
I
like
did
that.
not want to go to Great America. I was like, this sucks. But we went
Can I
all
cancel?
like, the entire
I don't
time.
feel so well.
I was just thinking about Yoshi's Island, and oh man, Yoshi's Island, one of my favorite games of all time.
It's funny, man. Like I want to. It should be a future topic, but with Greg growing up Sega and then kind of going in other directions, and me growing up Nintendo and kind of going in other directions, like it would be a fun topic to figure out like when your allegiances were formed and how. And I use allegiances loosely because I played PlayStation and I had a PS1 and an N64, and for instance, and then I had a GameCube and Xbox and a PS2. But like when your real love of like these core companies like began and ended, and how they began and how they ended.
Yeah.
Like my complete, and you were there for witness. Like my complete
Oh, yeah.
meltdown with Nintendo,
Yeah.
like in 2008, was like one of the funniest things ever. And like
The best was when Colin was trying to sell himself on Nintendo still being cool in 2008. When he would go home every night and play the Wii and not play other things. Like, what do you? He played the worst third-party games on Wii that barely ran and had no textures. He's like, whatever, that's what I got. I like Nintendo.
Yeah, I was like, Nintendo's the best, man. What are you talking about?
It's true.
But like, because like, NES, for instance, NES and SNES got me hooked on JRPGs, right? Like Dragon Quest and obviously, or Dragon Warrior at the time, and Final Fantasy, and then obviously all of the Square games and the NX games on SNES. So I had to buy a PS1 because that was my JRPG machine. Then obviously later on N64, and you play whatever you play on that. I mean, there's a lot of great games on it. Again, a lot of revisionist history about N64. The library was actually quite weak. But then GameCube came, and GameCube was actually like a great console. Like I loved GameCube. It was a great console.
Mario Golf.
Oh, Mario Golf.
It was okay. I still say SNES is probably arguably the best gaming console of all time.
I don't think there's an argument to be made.
I would
So
say
facts.
I would still say NES is my favorite.
NES.
I don't want to say best. Yeah, I think NES's catalog.
Oh, that
is-
makes sense for you.
just in terms of pure gameplay, like in pure gameplay, like just like oh my god, like the 3 Ninja Gaidens, 3 Castlevanias, 6 Mega Mans, 3 Marios. Like there's just like all of these
Yeah.
gameplay masterpieces, like 10s. But then again, you go to Super Nintendo. I mean, Mario World is a 10.
So amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like that's why I always bust Greg's balls when he had to play Sonic, and I'm like, and I hate Sonic so much. Like I've never been like, I'm so open about that. I think that game sucks.
I love Sonic.
And like,
It's OG one.
I
Sonic is
u-
bad.
I used to love Sonic. Not
I did
anymore.
too, and then
It's
I
like put
played,
Mario
I
World
played
next to
episode
Sonic.
4. And I was
Mario
like, you guys are
World
crazy,
blows
and you
Sonic
played
out of the
both.
water.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's so, but I'd love to know when everyone like that's another topic. But like when everyone turned, because like everyone's always like, oh, you're so hard. To me, like you're so hard in Nintendo. I'm like, dude, you have no idea. Like how on Nintendo's nuts I was. When I
It was
young.
like a
You
bad
have
breakup.
No, it was like a bad breakup because I love PlayStation. I got my PS2 when it came out. I got my obviously I couldn't afford a PS3 when I moved here. I was fucking poor.
Me too.
But yeah, like you always had your Nintendo consoles, and then it's like eventually I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like I woke up one day. I was like, what am I? I'm like, I remember it was with
Lying in the shower,
Yeah.
pounding on the wall.
I remember waking up. It was when the straw that broke the camel's back was that 007 game. I don't remember what it was when it came out like early in the generation, and it was on all the consoles. And I played it on Wii U or Wii, and I was like, I remember going in, and I'm like, huh? No, it wasn't GoldenEye. It was before
I know
that.
what you're talking
Goldeneye.
about.
Yeah, no,
Right?
it wasn't GoldenEye.
There was a GoldenEye.
There was
with
a
Daniel
GoldenEye.
Craig.
There was.
There was,
There
but that's-
an EA.
That was like a remaster.
Bloodstone, I think it was.
That sounds right. Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I remember being like, I can't. Like, everyone's enjoying. Oh, you play Halo? Did you play Resistance? Yeah, like all these. And I'm like, no, I'm playing fucking Zack and Wiki, or whatever the hell it is I'm doing over here. That's why I can't do it anymore. You know, and PlayStation obviously spoke to me at that point. But so that would be a fun future topic. I think would be to like really identify the time frames and stuff like that. How and when you broke or got into something, like, because we all grew up and the condition was like with your Commodore, with your SNES layers, like you were kind of conditioned based on the purchasing decisions of the people around you. I wasn't cognizant. If my brother bought me a Master System or had a Master System and NES, it would have been a different story, right?
You'd be a history major. You would have stopped caring about video games.
Yeah,
you would have just gotten your professorship.
Yeah, exactly. I just would have went down that line instead. I think that's interesting because everyone has those stories and those tales or whatever. Like the whole, like everyone's like, I've always been, if you were a kid and you were always a multi-platform gamer or whatever, you're lying, because like that's not.
Well, your parents were super rich.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's just not possible. Like at least it wasn't possible in my house.
The only way it could be possible is if you look at PC being its own platform, which clearly it is, right? But as a kid, you don't necessarily distinguish that as a platform.
Yeah.
As adults, we can all say like, yeah, obviously that's a platform, but that was the only thing I had multiple of. I had a PC and a console, so
Sure.
I guess that
It's just
counts.
PC gaming was so different back then.
Oh, yeah.
It was.
Carmen San Diego and shit like that. Yeah, I'd play, but like it wasn't giving you the same experiences. Whereas now, like PC just can do everything, and then it's just like these little exclusives off.
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, there definitely was a difference between a video game and a computer game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Computer games were things like Chips Quest. And all
Chips
that.
Quest was awesome.
Number
Chips
Munchers.
Challenge.
Chips Challenge, you're right. Yeah.
Chips Challenge.
Oregon Trail, Number Munchers.
Mavis Beacon teaches typing.
Yep.
Yeah, Chips Challenge was dope. That was a dope game. I'm gonna stand
A
by
Let's
and say
Play?
Chips Challenge.
Are we gonna do a
let's
Let's
do a
Play?
Chips Challenge. That game was all. I don't know if anyone out there remembers Chips Challenge. I got it when I got my Sony Vaio in '96. It came loaded onto it, and that was the first computer I had like in my room. Like we had our family computer or whatever. And I was like, oh man, Chips fucking Challenge. It had like MechWarrior and all these like beautiful games. And I was like, all I wanted to play was Chips Challenge, which is like this top down like advent. Like it's not even really a good game.
Yeah, it's-
Playing some ski.
Oh, Ski Free never
man.
made any sense. I never even understood what the point of that game
The game
was.
was totally a troll. You're doing too well. Here comes the snowman to eat you.
Yeah. Good lord.
Free, damn, dude. That's a
Well,
deep
guys,
cut.
this has been a very, very good time. Andrea, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
As our
Yeah,
first
thank you
Thanks for
very
having
much.
me, guys.
Yeah, I hope you had a nice time.
I only wish we could have had a refill midway.
I'm sorry, we could have stopped.
Could call
It
for
was
Nick.
so
Nick
delicious.
does things.
Nick does
I'm sorry, we'll
not-
make another
if you
episode.
ask
Can
him,
you
Can you
imagine
please make
a
Nick
Nick
be the
old fashioned?
waiter
it would
next
be
time?
a Keurig pod, a thing of ice, and a little bit of milk.
Oh man, that's good. Well, thank you guys so much for listening or watching or just enjoying this in whatever way
Enjoying it
you decided to consume
through
it.
osmosis.
We'll be back next week and every day on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Until next time.